Corey.
Yep.
Packers losing to the Lions. And I'm not totally surprised. It's a little interesting though. Okay. How much blame is on Aaron Rodgers? And do you see him in Green Bay next year? And this is whether they trade him or he retires.
Okay. I mean, when you lose at home to the Detroit Lions, like, look, all credit to the Lions. They did a heck of a job, especially when the NFL set them up for failure by making sure they knew they had nothing to play for by the time that game kicked off. And they were the only team that last weekend that had playoff hopes that were put at that competitive disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
And you put up, 16 points at home?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that doesn't fall squarely on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders. Look, Rodgers, I think, took over for Peyton Manning as best quarterback in the NFL for a number of years, probably until Patrick Mahomes unseated him. But it's been a decade since he was in a Super Bowl. And I didn't even realize it was that long until somebody mentioned it the other day. And with all of the noise he's made lately, just acting a fool off the field, publicly feuding with the team in the offseason, I think the blame for this loss in this season will fall on him more than it has in previous years. I think he's I've seen more Packers fans kind of seemingly wearing thin of him this year than I have ever seen in the past. So, I don't know where else you put it because the defense did a pretty good job in that game. Teams like there wasn't. I don't know who else you would blame other than Rodgers in that offense. As for whether or not he'll be back, that's tough. I know there's retirement buzz, but that would surprise me. That would be pretty unexpected. But I think he could look outside of Green Bay. If you're the Packers, I don't think you're in a situation where you're going to beg him to stay at this point. You're in a situation where you've got to do something with Jordan Love. You either need to start him next year or you need to trade him this offseason. And
I heard they're picking up his option.
Oh, you have to pick it up, but because you can't just have him 4 years and then lose him for nothing. But so you pick up his option, you got to play him. And there are a few landing spots. If the Dolphins end up moving on from Tua, or if Tua retires, Miami makes sense. Especially if Sean Payton were to end up there for some reason, because that's Mike McDaniel losing his job has been floated, which makes no sense. And if he hits the market, please end up in Indianapolis. I think the Jets would make a lot of sense. Maybe the Saints, but if it's a trade scenario, I do not see Green Bay trading him within the NFC.
Tennessee.
So
Colin Cowherd said Tennessee.
Tennessee can make. I mean, Tennessee makes sense in that they need a starting quarterback. The supporting cast that would be around him less so. I think both the Dolphins and the Jets have a better skill position talent than Tennessee does.
Maybe what about Raiders? Somebody said that today.
Reuniting with Devontae?
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. I was like, nah. Then I was like, wait a minute.
I don't know that Aaron Rodgers and Josh McDaniels could coexist.
Yeah.
But if he ends up with the Raiders, the in-season Hard Knocks better be the Raiders.
Yeah,
I want cameras in those meeting rooms, because that is not going to go great.
Nah, I gotta see that.
At this point though, I would lean towards the chances are better than not that Rodgers isn't back in Green Bay.
Yeah. Mo, let me ask you this, Mo. Lions beat Packers. Do you blame Aaron Rodgers? And is this his last season in Green Bay?
I think I do. I mean, I do. At home, everything was put out for you. You're the quarterback. I mean, the quarterback is married to the head coach, and like we said, the Lions. It ain't like the Lions came out there and like offensively just blew the thing up and just like was out there putting on a show. Your defense gave you chances to win. You didn't perform well. It ain't like Rodgers went out there and played a Rodgers type of game and then had a late pick. So I do. Devontae chased the money, but also I think Rodgers sitting there and going back and forth, not knowing what he want to do, was the issue. Now the wild part is there's no Devontae there and there's no wide receivers there to have an issue with you going back and forth. So I think, I hate to say this, but I think Rodgers going to do the same thing again. He's going to wait, because who's going to say something now? Who's going to leave? Who's going to walk out that door? They don't have nobody on the offensive side of the ball that's going to sit there and really be like, man, Rodgers sitting here loafing, man. I'm not going to stay around for no rebuild. I'm a roll. You know, there's nobody on that offense that has that kind of clout that really come out there and poke out their chest like that. So it's going to be interesting. If they trade him, they're not going to trade him in division. They're not going to trade him in conference. If they trade him, he's going to AFC. I don't see Green Bay saying, "Bump it, we're going to trade you in conference, or we're going to trade you in division, or trade you in." Now, I don't see it happen. I'd be shocked if it happens. But just seeing how that game ended, I watched how that game ended, just seeing him with Cobb and seeing how things ended, it didn't look like just a regular moment of like, oh, we lost, you my brother. It looked like a somber moment, like he kind of felt like this is his last day in Green Bay. Like it felt like it kind of, to me, when I was looking at them walk off the field and how they were showing it, how things was happening, it just kind of looked like he's going somewhere else. Like honestly, I hate to say this, I understand losing a game is your last game, but how NBC, how they played that and how they kept the camera on him, it almost looked like they did too much if he don't go. If he don't retire or leave, it looked like NBC was doing too much. Like the camera stayed on him all the way through the tunnel with Cobb and moved around with him and Cobb. Like it was just too much. Like to me, how the cameras did it, how the network did it, it came off as he's about to leave. He's not going to be there anymore. Whether it's retirement or whether him being traded, it just seemed like he wasn't going to be there anymore.
Yeah. It's funny that I think that Aaron Rodgers got everybody, he sucked me in because, I like Aaron Rodgers. He sucked me in. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, all right, cool. They're going to win. So they're going to win here in Green Bay. And they didn't win. And Rodgers did not play good. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, Rodgers is trying to exchange a jersey. He's like, nah, man, I need this one. And I was just, realizing, like, this season, Brady, Rodgers, and Wilson looked like it's caught up to him. You said Stafford too? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe it's time changing the guard. Then I realized, like, he played bad. And the crazy thing is I'm not gonna lie, I think his young receivers, I think Christian Watson is gonna be good. I think he's gonna be a good receiver. And Dobbs was gonna be good. And he got Alan Lazard, right? It's on Rodgers, man. And I hate to say it, he didn't play good. And this reminds, I think I was listening to, it reminds you of another Green Bay quarterback that this happened to. Because Brett Favre would do this. I don't know if I'm coming back. Then it's like, I'm coming back and they'll trade me. So now it's like the Packers they're stuck with Jordan Love. I don't think they trade Jordan Love. I think they trade Aaron Rodgers. I do. I think they trade Aaron Rodgers, man, for a nice package. And then I think they go with Jordan Love, And I don't know. I haven't seen his last game. I think he looked good. And, it's funny. Shout out to Nick Wright. He said this when they were 4-8. He was like, let's start Jordan Love. And Aaron Rodgers was like, nah, I want to finish out the season because we can make the playoffs. But now it looks like they should have started Jordan Love anyway.
I mean, to that point, James, that this was the worst case scenario for Green Bay. Jordan Love doesn't play, and you miss the playoffs.
Now you got to pick up his fifth-year option, and you don't know if.
And you know nothing.
You know nothing.
You've seen him in one game where he had like 2 days of prep for on the road in one of the most hostile environments in the NFL.
We don't know how he is, and I like Jordan Love. He's from Utah. I think he's going to be a good quarterback, but nobody knows anything. Only the Packers know by seeing reps. And he was without Devontae Adams that game too. So then you got to think Rodgers comes out and says, I'm not going to hold them hostage. Yes, you are. You did it last year. You think he's going to be like, all right, I'm coming in for a full season? He's already has everybody talking about this. And this is going to linger on all offseason like it did last year. Is Rodgers going to retire? And he's going to come back. And then now you're like, again, and he's not going to focus on the young receivers. He's not going to spend time with them. Whereas Jordan Love might. Because Aaron Rodgers is like, I've done it all. I'm not mad at him for it, but when you have young receivers and you expect to go to the playoffs and win the Super Bowl, you got to put in the time. He knows that. So that's he is to blame. And I don't think he's going to be there. I think they're going to trade him. I think they're kind of sick of him, to be honest with you. I think so. Craig, Aaron Rodgers. We both love him as a quarterback. Do you think he's to blame, and do you think he's going to be in Green Bay next year?
I mean, I think he's majority to blame for this game. I'm not putting it all on him.
No, not all. But
I mean, he didn't fumble the ball in Detroit territory when they were about to score. That wasn't him. That was Aaron Jones. So I can't put it all on Aaron Rodgers, definitely. But he had some bad passes in that game, especially that last pick. Even the pick before, except for the penalty, I mean, that would have been picked off right there as well.
Mm-hmm.
His receivers didn't help him. You ask me, like his receivers pretty, for the most part this year, haven't helped him all year. Watson disappeared. He had a nice 4-game stretch there where he was looking like the future, and then he disappeared down the stretch. He wasn't the same receiver. I don't know if teams picked up on it or they just couldn't give him the ball, but it just wasn't there. The defense played well this game. They played well. They only allowed 20 points and no passing touchdowns in this game, so they were right there. Had they stopped them on 4th and 1, they would have had a chance with Aaron Rodgers and everybody. I mean, that would have been huge for the Packers, having Aaron Rodgers go down the field and try to win the game. Excuse me, with another game-winning drive to get your team into the playoffs. But unfortunately for them, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think as far as this game, I'll put probably about 70-80% on Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to blame the rest of it on Aaron Jones and the coaching staff, or Aaron Jones and the wide receiver.
So you're putting 70-80 on Aaron?
Yeah, about 70% on Aaron, probably like 15% on the wide receivers. 15%
That's fair.
Jones for fumbling the ball. He doesn't fumble the ball. The Lions don't go down and score a field goal before the half.
Isn't that weird from Aaron Jones though? This year he's been doing that.
I mean, weird. I don't know what's going on with Aaron Jones, but I mean that was bad timing for that team. That was like the play of the game, or one of the plays of the game, besides the 4th and 1. So, and probably that pick that Aaron threw. But as far as for the whole season, Aaron's to blame for a lot of this, starting from the off season with not working out with the team, not getting the reps with his receivers, all that. I do put some blame on the ownership for not getting a wide receiver in there, a veteran wide receiver, and also trading away Devontae. The defense was to blame for some of the season as well. They weren't doing anything. They couldn't really stop anybody. They didn't look good. And then the coaching for not, they just didn't really call any run plays for the most part. Early in the season, they didn't really start until that win over Dallas. They stuck with the run, and then like the next week they went away from it again. So it was a weird situation, even though they have two really good running backs. So it was just a crazy season. Hats off to Detroit for going in and winning basically a meaningless game for them. I was rooting hard for the Rams to win that game, so unfortunately it didn't happen. And Rams have won, the Lions would have been in. As far as next season goes, it's hard to tell. I know that Aaron Rodgers looked like a man that was beaten, looked like a man that probably didn't want to come back and play anymore, or didn't know if he was going to come back and play anymore. Didn't want to give up the game ball, I think, or the jersey or something. And he looked real sad going in with his arm around Cobb and all that, and then this press conference and everything like that. But even before the game started, even before they had the little press conference, or whatever you want to call it, Aaron Rodgers just wasn't like, it just didn't have that confidence that you would think Aaron Rodgers would have, especially in a win and you're in situation. It was just so dry and just like boring. Aaron Rodgers, like I don't know, man. He just didn't hype it up to the point where you're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go here, we're gonna do what we need to do and win this game, or whatever. I don't know, do whatever you need to do to pump yourself up, pump the team up. But it just wasn't there from the beginning. So it just wasn't a good look all the way around. I think he's probably going to do, like he said, he's probably going to hold the team hostage again. I think he might want to. He's probably going to try to wait maybe and see if they get a wide receiver, like an Odell Beckham or.
Nope, Green Bay don't do that, brother.
What I'm saying is that I understand they don't do that. I'm saying they can finally come around to doing something, because they see what happened. They seen what happened this year. Maybe the 13-3 seasons, the 13-4 seasons, and winning the division and all that, kind of like, okay, you know what, we don't need another wide receiver here. We can do all that. Now they finally had a losing season, 8-9. They might finally sit back and say, you know what, we got to get a veteran wide receiver here. We don't have Devontae anymore. We have young guys. Maybe we need to do something. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do. They're probably not. But I mean, like it would definitely open my eyes if I was the GM there, or the president, or whatever they got. They don't have an owner, so and try to find something. But I mean, if they can wait, or if he can try to get a wide receiver in there, a veteran wide receiver when free agency starts, I think that'll definitely help Aaron Rodgers' thought process, or to make up his mind sooner. I don't know if he's going to be back for this team though, just because of everything that happened and how it ended and what has been transpiring the last couple of years. I think they need to have him because they don't know what they have in Jordan Love. I guess you could just throw Jordan Love out there and see what happens. I mean, you're the Packers, so you have all these expectations. The division to me seems to be winnable. I'm not a big fan of the Vikings. The Lions are coming on. Who knows? Maybe that was a fluke season. You know how the Lions do. The Vikings are the Vikings, but I mean, are you scared of a team that has a negative plus minus in terms of allowed and forward, even though they went 13-4 or whatever the record was? Like, come on. So they still have the opportunity to win now. It's just the quarterback, and once they figure that out, I think they'll be in a better situation. But I think he's probably gonna get traded. If I had to really put money on it, I'd probably say he would come back, but he would get traded to. I don't know if he has a no trade clause or anything like that. If he can try to pick and choose where he could want to go, but I know his contract is expensive, and he could go to, like y'all said. I think somebody said the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders. Yeah,
that wouldn't be bad. I don't think
Miami might be.
Yeah, Miami would be good. I think there's some options out there. I think theoretically Tampa Bay looks good, especially if Brady doesn't come back. They have wide receivers. They need to fix the running game and everything like that. They have a good defense. So, but I mean, I just don't think he's going to be back with the Packers next year. I could be wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if he does come back for the Packers and plays again, but I don't know, man. It's a tough way to end the season.
Yeah, so all right, here's the crazy thing. the contract next year. Let me see if he has a no trade clause. He has options for 23-24. It's a 2-year renewal. Option bonus, roster bonus. I don't know if he has a no trade clause. Signed a 3-year contract. I don't know, but see, in 2023, he'll be 40. He gets $1 million base salary, $12 million signing. Option is $14 million, right? And the dead cap hit is $31 million. So if they trade him, they got to take that on. But then it really hits. 2024 is 40, 2025 is 59. Jesus. 2026 is 53. Now, it is a potential out in 2024 of a $24 million cap hit. That's still a tough one. So, it's a huge cap hit if they trade him, but they'll have the money to. So it's going to be interesting, man. I don't think he has a no trade clause, which might be something that they talked about. It might be, because it usually.
I don't have a problem with Aaron Rodgers playing the rest of the season.
Yeah, he doesn't have a no trade clause in his contract.
Okay.
He does not have a no trade clause, so he could be traded to his team, to any team. That's very interesting. I wonder if that was discussed, because usually quarterbacks have a no trade clause. Like Derek Carr has a no trade clause. Like, if you trade me, I can determine where I go. But it's interesting that Aaron Rodgers does not have one. Maybe this was talked about. Maybe, I don't know. But teams are going to be asking for him now. Teams going to be asking. Or you could trade Jordan Love. But I don't.
I mean, you're getting more for Rodgers, but I think the issue is that teams are going to look at Denver and see what happened with Russell Wilson last year and everything that Denver gave up for him, and use that as justification to drive down the price tag.
Man, listen here. If they don't trade him after June 1st, he has a $58.3 million option bonus that's fully guaranteed. They got to trade him before June 1st of 2023. That's interesting. That's interesting. Buckle up. It's going to be, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. All right. Now to my, I think they'd trade him though. I would. I would invest in Jordan Love, see what we got. So, all right. Now my favorite part of the show. We're gonna do it differently this year. I think this year we're gonna do it differently this time. We're gonna go the AFC first, and it's the who you got. And we're gonna go down to AFC. And once we complete the AFC, we're gonna do the NFC. And of course, the last game will be none other than the Cowboys and Bucks. So
let's go ahead and start. Hey, let's go ahead and start with that Buffalo.
You already see it all here.
Ain't no need. Yeah, ain't no need. Yeah.
All right.
Do we need to?
I don't think
No.
so.
Anybody taking anything for Miami?
Is anybody pick Miami?
No.
I can't pick them with
for nothing.
Tyler Thompson.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know that I could pick Miami to cover.
Yeah. The Ravens and the Bengals.
Same thing. I'm sorry.
I wish Lamar was playing, but they said that he took a setback.
Nah, you know what? I'm happy he's not playing.
Oh, okay.
If he's not 100%, I would not play.
No, I wouldn't either.
There's no point. I mean, you're not under contract. If you don't have any money coming in, you don't know what's going to happen. There's no point in him playing at all if he's not 100%. and he doesn't have a contract in place. If he gets hurt again, he's screwed at that point.
Yep.
Before the season started, he shouldn't play, but he went out there, he bet on himself. He's missed 10 games in the last 2 seasons. He only missed 2 games in the first 3 seasons. So he has leverage in terms of how the team played at the end of the season, going 2-3 and the team horrible on offense. But at the same time, the ownership has leverage because he can't stay healthy. So I don't know. I mean, somebody's going to play Lamar, whether it's the Ravens or whether they're going to give him a franchise tag or he gets thrown out there to free agency and somebody picks him up. Somebody's going to pay him the money that he wants or close to the money that he wants. I mean, but he's his own agent at this point. I mean, so I don't know how that's going to go, but if he's 80%, 85%, obviously he's not going to play. But I mean,
no, he's not.
If he wasn't 100%, I wouldn't play anyway. There's no point.
Let me, Craig. I know you were adamant about that at the beginning of the season. Let me ask you this, because it was one other person. Rob Parker was like, "No." He was like, "No, don't play." I get it, right? Here's the thing, Craig. Let me ask you this: do you think they franchise tag him, or do you think they trade him?
I think he gets franchise tagged, and unless they can possibly find some other quarterback out there that can play. Because I mean, Huntley's not the guy, and the way their offense is structured with really having Lamar Jackson be your offense and to be that running offense, that's it. I mean, he's like 1 in a million type of player out there. Well, I guess Fields is another type of player like him too, but like he's a former MVP. Like it's not like he's trash.
You can trade him straight up.
He stay healthy.
Nick Wright said you trade up Lamar for Justin.
Lamar Jackson for Justin Fields?
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade him straight up. No. No. Doesn't make any sense. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, you're the younger player, but I just wouldn't do that. I mean, at some point, if Fields keeps doing like he's doing now, and they keep running him like that, he's going to be in the same situation as Lamar Jackson at some point.
Yeah.
He's a bigger like quarterback in there and all that. But I mean,
he be taking hits though.
He's been taking hits. He's going to get hurt. He's been hurt this year.
Yeah.
What's for me to think that he's not going to get hurt in Baltimore just because it's a better team? They still don't have a running game. They still don't have any wide receivers. It's going to be like the same thing. No running game, just a better defense and a better coach. I mean, obviously the team around him is better, but I mean, you're going to be kind of putting the same. And I don't know if Baltimore why would you do that again? Why would you put yourself into that situation again where you're now taking on the same type of quarterback again, who can potentially get hurt? And now you're in the same situation where you have to figure out if you're going to sign them, franchise tag them, or just let them go.
Yeah. They might. It's going to be interesting.
If you trade them, you've got a defense capable of making a playoff run. Are you going to sign Garoppolo, Carson Wentz, Jacoby Brissett? Like, your options aren't great if you trade them.
They're not great at all.
What are you going to do? Go trade for Rodgers, who's making a boatload of money when you're refusing to pay Lamar?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Rodgers is making them. But
I think they're going to franchise tag him, and then the Mars will ask for the exclusive one. And that's $45 million for a quarterback.
So do they have to? If he says I want the exclusive, do they have to honor it?
No, they can do whatever they want.
Okay.
Yeah, he can ask for that. He can request the exclusive one. They can say they tagging him. He requests for the exclusive one. It's on them. It's on Baltimore if they want to do it. But
and he can hold out to the quarterback
he is. You would want to do it because then if you decide to trade him or something happens, you can get a lot for him off the exclusive tag.
I wonder if because teams will pay Lamar. I don't know some teams that would.
Somebody would
pay Lamar.
Yeah, so
somebody would. Yeah. You said what, Craig? They would.
A lot of teams would pay Lamar.
Yeah. A lot of teams. Rich Eisen was like, "Bring him over to the Jets." I was like, "Oh, it's interesting."
I think
one thing I will say, and I'll be shocked to ask, I don't think their old coordinator will be back next year.
Baltimore?
Greg Roman. I don't think he'll be back next year.
I don't know. Baltimore's in a weird place, man.
They don't have any receivers, man. I don't know what they're doing.
None.
Like they're
none. Oh, and the Cardinals said they want to trade D-Hop.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard he's on the market. I heard about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure
yeah.
Hopkins probably wants out on
Yeah, there's
his
something
end
about
as
Washington. I was
well.
like,
No, he'll probably go. I mean, he could go to Baltimore.
On a fourth string quarterback, fourth or fifth or something, fourth.
God dang.
He could go
I think
to,
Washington would be a good place for Hopkins, someplace where he doesn't have to be the one anymore.
he's gonna go Patriots.
Ew.
Yeah. I was like, no.
He could go to Patriots. Watch, but he don't practice. That's what I heard.
He don't want to go to the don't
He
go.
said he don't practice.
Don't go up there.
He can't go to New England. He don't practice.
He can't go. But I don't know why. I think Washington's. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I think this offseason is gonna be like last offseason. We're gonna see some big things move. It's gonna be. I'm gonna love it. More topics for us to talk about. It's gonna be crazy, just like last offseason, where it was like, boom, 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 boom. Like, what is going on? You know. So.
Yeah, this draft is definitely gonna be interesting too. I think this draft will be more interesting too.
Oh yeah. We're definitely going live again. All right, so we got those two off the way. Craig, Chargers versus Jaguars. Who you got? This is a good one now. This is a good one.
Yeah, here we go.
We got some good ones coming up too in the NFC.
All right.
Crazy.
It's a good one.
Coaching, I think I'm just going to lean Peterson. I like the way his team finished the season.
Yeah.
He had no expectations for the whole season to me going into the season, and they ended up winning the division, having an above 500 record. And I mean, they had some good wins in there. And then the way that, to me, the way Peterson turned around Trevor Lawrence compared to year one under Urban Meyer was just night and day to me. So I have to go. I think Staley, I think he's done a pretty good job. I think the team to me has underachieved because I thought they would be. I had them winning the NFC West, or excuse me, AFC West, and they didn't do that. They kind of finished 10-7. They lost the last game of the season. It was a meaningless game, but I just thought this team has so much talent. I know they had a lot of injuries and all that, but I got to go with Peterson just off expectations alone and the development of Trevor Lawrence. Offense, I'm going to lean towards the Chargers. I think Herbert is a better quarterback than Lawrence. I mean, that's not really giving a lot of credit to Lawrence though. The way he's developed, like I said, the running game, they're both really good running backs. I just think that Eckler gives a little bit more of a different dynamic. Because he can run and he can catch out of the backfield. I think ETN can catch out of the backfield too, but he's not as explosive as Austin Eckler is. I like Keenan Allen. He's clearly the number one there. The Jags have a couple of decent wide receivers. I didn't think they were going to be have any type of impact on the team's success this year because I thought they weren't going anywhere. But Zay Jones and Christian Kirk. A lot of people was clowning Christian Kirk, including me, for the money that he got because we didn't think he's worth it, or at least I didn't. And he proved that he was. I mean, he's not really number one. Neither one of those guys are number one, but they fit this system and they fit what's going on in Jacksonville. But I just think that Keenan Allen also trumps out any wide receiver there. I think Mike Williams is hurt again, so we'll see if he plays. Hopefully he will, and see what happens. Defense, I'm going Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville.
He's sidelined another practice though.
Yeah, see, I don't know if he's going to play. That's the issue. I'm still taking the offense. I'm still taking LA's offense slightly. Defense, I'm going Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's defense has played amazing compared to what they have been in years past. And see all the injuries that LA's had. Jason, he's not going to be there at all. And just looking on paper. And you see what LA has compared to what Jacksonville has and how LA just hasn't lived up to those expectations and how Jacksonville has exceeded, just like how the team did overall. I got to go with Jacksonville's defense there. This is going to be a tough one. I think I'm going to go with the Chargers just because I picked them to go pretty far this season. And I also think that they can go in and they can win on the road. It's not like they're going to Buffalo or some type of cold city coming from like a warmer type of climate. They're going to go to the same type of climate. I just think that Jacksonville first. I think this is pretty much both quarterbacks' first time being in the playoffs. There's actually 7 quarterbacks making their first time, making their first pro season start, which is crazy.
Yep. You said 7, right?
7 out of 14, which is crazy to me. So, and this is one of the matches where you have two of them going up against each other. But I gotta lean slightly towards the Chargers. I think even though they made the playoffs, I think Staley's job is still on the line, possibly, especially with Sean Payton out there and some other coaches out there. So I think they're going to try to do this one for their coach, and I would assume, and try to get this win. So I'm going Chargers. I think could be a high scoring game. Hopefully it is, because it's the only primetime game. It's the only game on.
It's going to be good.
Primetime game. So
it's going to be good.
Go 31-27 Chargers.
NFL did right picking the times with these guys. All right.
Yeah, I guess. I'm doing with the Cowboys game, man. I'm disappointed because I wanted them to lose so that way I can hear about it on Monday. Michael Irvin.
Oh man, I can't wait for that. Mo, Chargers versus Jaguars. Who you got?
Offense. Head coach. My bad. I'm gonna go Pearson. I love the job he's done. 3 wins last year?
Mm-hmm.
I think Jacksonville had. That's a 6-win turnaround. And I think in this situation, they didn't just spend money. I don't think they just sat there and just, a lot of teams will just spend money. I don't think they did that. I think they sat there and they got players that fit them. They got Sheriff. They went out and got Christian Kirk. They went out and got Jay Jones. They went out and got people who fit what they want to do. So, kudos to them. Kudos to Doug Peterson with a turnaround like this, especially with the toxic situation they had last year. So I think it's a great job. Offense. It's a tough one. Offense. If Mike Williams is down, I'm gonna go Jacksonville. If Mike Williams is down, I'm gonna go Jacksonville.
You did not practice today, guys.
Yeah, and once again, that's on. They say that's on Staley, playing them still into the fourth quarter when you clearly had the 5 seed locked up. So I don't know why a lot of people was on them about why they still were playing, but I'm gonna go Jacksonville. Defense, I'm gonna go Jacksonville. Solid defense. They've been playing lights out. Chargers defense has not really lived up to what we thought it was going to be this year. We thought there was going to be a top 10 defense, or a better defense than what they were. So I'm gonna go Jacksonville. Overall, this is a tough one. I'm gonna go with the young guns. I'm gonna go Jacksonville. I'm gonna go Jacksonville. 34-31 in a high scoring game. Last second field goal.
Huh? Oh, all right, Corey. Chargers versus Jaguars. Who you got?
For this one, coaching, I'm with you guys. I'm gonna go Doug Peterson. One, I think Staley. I still question some of his stuff as a head coach. I think this team is underachieved again this year, after just collapsing last year in a win and get in game. I do think Staley's on the hot seat, and if they were to lose to this Jaguars team that they have no business being close with, that Staley you have to change course, because you can't
Sean
waste
Payton?
Justin Herbert.
You think they
Maybe.
go after?
You got to make the call, but if Staley were to get this team, because last year was a wasted opportunity. Justin Herbert should have a playoff game under his belt.
Yes.
So you can't waste his rookie contract. Peterson, I'm going with him because the Jaguars got like 5 more wins than I thought they would this year. I figured that it would take more to kind of dig out of the mess Urban Meyer left in his wake, and Peterson did a heck of a job of turning things around and get people to believe. And Jaguars were a lot better this year than I would have thought. Offensively, I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think they got a better quarterback. I think they got the better receivers. And honestly, even if Mike Williams is out, I think the Chargers have better skill position talent. Yes, Christian Kirk had a lot better year than what anybody thought he would. He's still egregiously overpaid. Marvin Jones, Zay Jones, they're okay. No, the Jaguars don't have a guy close to Keenan Allen's ability, and I would take Allen, Palmer, and Carter over the Jaguars receiving core. And I'm going to take Eckler over Etienne at this point as well.
Can't be balling though. I'll give him that.
Yeah, and the scheme they've got going in Lawrence, they're good, but the Chargers should be better based on the talent that they have. Defensively, I'm going to take the Chargers as well. I know that the Jaguars can get after the quarterback. Walker, I feel like he's been a bit inconsistent in his production, but Josh Allen is legit, and they can rush the passer. But the Chargers do have Bosa back now. You've still got Khalil Mack, and I think the Chargers secondary is a lot better than Jacksonville's. I think Asante Samuel can make the case for being a top 5 cornerback in this league right now. Yeah. Overall, I feel like it is a massive indictment on Brandon Staley for the fact that I'm even considering taking the Jaguars in this game. Because you're a Chargers team that went all in on your quarterback this year. You brought in Bosa. You tried to go in and bring in the top free agent corner. He got hurt. That's whatever. But you loaded up to make a run this year. And this team has greatly underperformed. As Craig said, he picked them to win the division. I think it'll be interesting because the Jaguars are playing with house money. Nobody thought they would be here. There is not a bit of pressure on that team. There is a ton of pressure on the Chargers to win this game. We'll kind of see what Justin Herbert's made of. Can he overcome those flaws for this team and the underachieving leading into the playoffs and the stupid coaching decision to keep Keenan Allen in the game in the fourth quarter when you already lost Mike Williams?
This is ridiculous.
I have to believe that the Herbert and the Chargers talent will win out. I think it'll be a close game though. I'm going to take the Chargers 30-28.
Oh man. So listen, this game is going to be good. I cannot wait to watch it. 2 great young quarterbacks. But let's start off with the head coach. I agree with everybody. It's Doug Peterson. The reason it's Doug Peterson is the way that he has his team playing. And just think if management makes a better decision on who to hire last year as a head coach, because you kind of regressed Trevor Lawrence. People are calling that a wash year. Yeah. People are saying this is Trevor Lawrence's first year because he has a competent head coach. So that's the decision that I don't know why Jacksonville made with Urban Meyer, but they made the correct one with Doug Peterson. He's up for Coach of the Year. That'll be a future topic that we'll talk about. I know he's in the candidate. I don't know if he's going to win or not, but he has his Jacksonville Jaguar team playing great. They won a division, and they're in the playoffs with a home game. That's huge, man. That's That's huge. And the development of Trevor Lawrence, and I think everybody here knew he was going to be good, but kudos to Doug Peterson. Stanley, listen, he makes some questionable decisions. And I agree with you, Corey. I think he loses this game. Sean Payton has already came out and said, I would choose the Chargers. Saints are taking calls about what they want for him. Your team is ready to win now. I don't know. If you're the Chargers, you're like, all right, Staley, I got a chance to get Sean Payton with Justin Herbert entering his prime with a loaded roster. Forget my first and second round picks for this year, next year, because the roster's so young. They can afford to do it. I think they do. I think you're on to something, Corey. So the pressure's on Staley. Offense, I gotta lean. It's close though. But I gotta go Justin Herbert and the Chargers. And the reason is, even without Mike Williams, Keenan Allen is a phenomenal receiver. And then you have Austin Eckler. Now, I love Travis Etienne, right? I love Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Evan Ingram. But I just think the Chargers have a better offense because of that. Now, Mike Williams is probably, not practicing Wednesday is a pretty big sign. And he has back problems, which is never good. And they're always tricky. So then I got to go offense, Chargers. Jacksonville next year, though, Jacksonville's put everybody on watch. I'll tell you that much. They're on watch. Defense, I got to go Jacksonville, man. I think the Chargers have all of the talent, but listen, Stanley came in there to fix the defense, and that's what he hasn't done. He hasn't fixed the defense, which is crazy. They got one of the worst defense in the league. And the funny thing is, they can't keep teams off the field. If you're a defensive head coach, nobody's talking about Tampa Bay's defense. You notice that? Nobody's like, oh, man, Tampa defense. No, because of, excuse me, not Lovie Smith, but, their Tampa Bay's head coach specifically runs the defense. And their defense is good. So, it's like the Patriots D. They're always going to be in it, right? So Todd Bowles got Tampa Bay defense running good. Brandon Staley was a defensive coordinator of a number one defense for the Rams, and the Chargers defense isn't good. That's not a good sign. But at the end of the day, I think this game is going to be great. I think it's two young quarterbacks. We're going to see a matchup for a long time. I think they're going to be in the playoffs for a long time. Now they got listen, the AFC quarterbacks are so good that Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence are at the bottom, because you're going to have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow at the top. And if Lamar, if he stays healthy, his availability is a big thing. But you got to think about it. And then you still have Deshaun and Russell Wilson. AFC stacked, man.
The crazy thing?
Huh?
Patrick Mahomes is the oldest quarterback in the AFC playoffs.
Yep, 27.
I thought he's
great.
I think he's gonna. It depends on his coach. I think next year he'll have a decent year. We'll wait. I do. And then you got Deshaun Watson. I just think it's loaded. I think the AFC
think you
is
have
loaded.
Potentially Indianapolis and Houston taking Bryce Young and CJ Stroud.
It's going to be crazy in the AFC. It's going to be crazy. But all I'm saying is, it's going to be a phenomenal game. But I'm going Jacksonville. I'm going with Trevor Lawrence. Going with Jacksonville. I think they're hot. I think Chargers defense does them in. And I think they're going to miss Mike Williams more than you know. And I got the score. This is going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be phenomenal. I got Jacksonville winning 31-28. Let's go. It's going to be a game. All right. It's gonna be a game, man. It's gonna be good on Saturday night. It's gonna put everybody at their ease. All right, now for the NFC, who you got? Mo, we starting with you. Seahawks versus 49ers.
Coaching, I'm gonna take Shanahan. Only because he's on third quarterback. And I understand a lot of people say, well, look at the talent and look at this, the defense, but it's the third quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant. And to still be able to just, do what he's done, for him to be able to pull off that McCaffrey trade, Debo's back, that offense is just going to be clicking. Defensively, of course, I'm taking San Fran. Just a phenomenal job. I'll be kind of disappointed if D'Amico Ryans doesn't get a job this year. If he doesn't interview for multiple jobs, I would be like, wow, like what's going on here?
He is so far. I'm gonna be honest with you. His name's been floating around a lot more.
I'm gonna take Seattle. I'm gonna take San Fran. I'm not saying Seattle's gonna lay down. They're not gonna lay down, but I think it's gonna be too much firepower, too much. This is the better team at the end. So I'm going to go San Fran 31-21.
All right, Corey. Seahawks versus 49ers. Who you got?
For this one, coaching, I will actually go Pete Carroll. Look, absolutely not going to discredit what Mike Shanahan has done, or Kyle Shanahan has done. It is crazy impressive to be arguably the favorites in your conference with your third string quarterback. But Pete Carroll is in the playoffs with a team that I think most people assumed were going to be selecting potentially their future quarterback at the top of the draft with their pick, not Denver's.
Yeah.
I never thought that they would be in this position. What he has done with Geno Smith and the career resurgence, easy comeback player of the year for Geno. It's crazy impressive. I put it above what Shanahan has done with Brock Purdy just because, one, it was a late year thing. There's still not you're just now getting to the point where there's enough tape on Purdy that defenses can scheme a little better, but also the skill position talent in San Francisco is crazy right now. You got everyone back. Adding Christian McCaffrey to that offense was just a brilliant move by the front office, and is paying off dividends right now, which is why offensively, obviously, San Francisco by a lot. The Seahawks offense has been able to put up some numbers. I believe there's hope Lockett will be back.
Let me check. Yeah,
but
full practice.
But just Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, McCaffrey. That's a lot. Defensively, I'm going San Francisco as well. One of the best defenses in the NFL. Get after the quarterback. Good in coverage. There's nothing that they can't do defensively. So this game, I don't know that I don't expect it to be particularly close. I don't think it'll be all that great of a game, honestly. I think there's a reason it got stashed on Saturday afternoon. So I'm going to take San Francisco in this one. Honestly, I think there's a good chance they cover 31-17.
Yeah, this is a good. I think this is a divisional game. Never count those out. Even though I know who I'm going to pick. Coach, man, there's both are good coaches. They both showed how coaching matters. Like I was watching the Pivot podcast and they were interviewing Mike Tomlin. And Mike Tomlin was like, if a player is bad, it's not their fault. It's my fault because I haven't coached them. So that's the example of what Pete Carroll and Kyle Shanahan has done. They've coached up their players like, Pete Carroll's like, I'll take Geno. He'll start. They're in the playoffs. Oh, I'll take Brock Purdy. Start him. Now they don't need Jimmy G. Now it might be a quarterback controversy, you know? So man, I gotta give it to Pete Carroll just because a lot of people picked them to be drafting number one, including people like, I don't know if all of us picked nobody. I don't think nobody here picked them to make the playoffs. I think Pete Carroll's an excellent head coach, man. Both of them are excellent. Both of them are cream of the crop head coaches, and any team would love to have them, except for the Commanders who fired his father. Anyway, it's neither here or there. Neither here or there. So I got to give it to Carroll. Offense, got to go 49ers. Like Corey said, they have all pros at every facet, right? Except for the quarterback position. Christian McCaffrey, all pro. Trent Williams, all pro. Deebo Samuel, all pro. George Kittle, all pro. That's crazy. So offense, 49ers. Defense, 49ers. I gotta list the all pros on that side of the defense, right? Because on that side of the defense, the all pros are Nick Bosa. You got Armstead. You got Fred Warner and Ken Law. Then you have Hunga. Okay, I can't say his name. Huafunga, who's emerged out of nowhere, who's phenomenal. So they're stacked. San Francisco has all pros on the offense of every level, all pros on the defense of every level. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. So I got to go 49ers defense. Overall, I think Corey's right. Even though it's a divisional game, I think it's I just can't see Seahawks taking over, in the words of Pete Carroll, a juggernaut. He came out, was like, hey, 49ers a juggernaut. He's being honest, man. I'm agree with the score. I know Mo said 31-21. Corey said 31-17. I'm going a little bit lower. I'm going 28-17. But it's All right, Craig. Seahawks versus 49ers. Who you got?
Let me go Pete Carroll as the coach. I think it's kind of the same thing with the Jaguars thing. They've overachieved. I think Seattle has overachieved. I'm not taking nothing away from San Francisco. San Francisco's done a phenomenal job. They won 10 games in a row. They went from 3-4 to now 13-4, and they went to the number 2 seed. They had
crazy.
The third quarterback. They have they traded for Christian McCaffrey, so that was an upgrade. They lost Deebo Samuel and they had George Kittle out for a little bit, so they overcame that. But I mean, they still have a top. I think they have the top defense in the NFL.
They do.
They have
hands down
great skill position players. One of the best tight ends in the league. One of the best running backs. One of the best all around running backs in the league. I understand they have their third string quarterback, who's the last pick in the draft, and he's done a phenomenal job for the time that he's been in. But I mean, I thought Seattle. I think I had them winning like 2 or 3 games. I didn't really think there would be no playoffs. And I got to give him credit for getting in, and I got to give Pete Carroll credit for the job he's done, especially with Geno Smith as their quarterback. He's definitely in the running for comeback player of the year. So
yeah,
give him credit for that. Offensive side, I'm going San Francisco. I think they have too many, even though they have Brock Purdy, they have too many other guys. Debo's back, I believe.
Yep.
Like I said, Kittle and McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk, who had a really good game a couple games ago. It's so many guys on that team, and Brock Purdy's not asked to do too much. I mean, he's just doing enough, and he's not turning the ball over. He's not making mistakes. He's not. I've been saying it for weeks. He's not asked to go out there and be like Patrick Mahomes or something like that. He's just asked to go out there and just Kind of like Alex Smith, just manage the game and just don't turn the ball over. Don't be the reason why you lose, basically. And he's been doing that. So I do like, obviously, I do like DK, and I do like Tyler Lockett and Walker. I like Walker as well. He could be rookie of the year. So they definitely have a really good offense. It's just I like the way San Francisco's offense is playing a little bit better. Defense will go on San Francisco. It's not even close. Seattle can't stop anybody really, especially running wise. They can't stop anybody on the ground. So there's no reason why Chris McCaffrey shouldn't go off in this game. As far as this game, I'm going with San Francisco. Obviously, I think they have enough there to get past the Seahawks. I really wanted it to be the Lions. I thought the Lions could maybe, with their offense and how they can move up and down the field, to me, that would have been a more exciting matchup than seeing Seattle for the third time. Just played each other. Well, I wouldn't say just, but they played each other a few weeks ago. I think it was like 21-13, something like that in Seattle, I believe. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to see this matchup again, but unfortunately, so it looks like we're going to get it. And I just don't think Seattle, even though I think Gino and Tyler and DK can go out and put up some yardage and put up some points, I don't think it's going to happen against this team. San Francisco's defense hasn't looked all that great the last couple of weeks. I know they played the fourth string quarterback in Arizona, but I mean, the first couple of possessions for Arizona, they went down, especially the first possession, they went down the field. So, the defense has been a little bit shaky, but I obviously when they it's the playoffs now, so they need to step up. So I got San Francisco. Let me go 34-20.
Do you know that George Kittle has been balling since Brock Purdy? He's got 7 touchdowns since Purdy's been there.
Yeah, he's been going off.
He's been going on. Interesting. It's going to be interesting next year. It's going to be very interesting next year. All right, let me start off with this one. This is another good game, man. Giants versus Vikings. No, yeah, Corey. My bad. Corey, Giants versus Vikings. Yeah, who you got?
For this one, coaching, I'm gonna go Brian Dable. Yes, I'm still gonna knock him for coaching scared against Washington because you don't do it. It was dumb.
Let's say that for a second.
But hey, they're in the playoffs, and I never thought that they would be in this position. I assumed, like probably most people, that the Giants, just like Seattle, would be picking near the top of the draft, and Dable would be more than likely trying to figure out who his next quarterback is going to be. Instead, there's going to be an extension for Daniel Jones this year.
Yep.
Now, not to necessarily discredit what O'Connell's done in Minnesota, but I think the Vikings team had a lot of talent. They had some games go. The games that went against them last year, all of them have gone in their favor this year. So it's, two sides of that coin. Offensively, obviously, I'm going Minnesota. Just the receiving. They have Justin Jefferson. Yeah, Saquon is a talented player, but just there's nobody else on the Vikings' entire offense that can compete with what Justin Jefferson can do. Not to mention Dalvin Cook, Thielen, Osborne, everything else. And Hawkinson has been another. I know we all talk about Christian McCaffrey being added in San Francisco, but that trade for Hawkinson at the deadline has been really good. And I've twice now found myself watching the Vikings and be like, oh yeah, they traded for him, and then he's gone off and had a really good game. So yeah, definitely going Minnesota by a lot offensively. Defensively, I think I'm gonna go Giants. Even though I don't have much respect for after the whole Nick Foles thing scenario, and I think Kayvon needs to grow up. He is still a dominant defensive player. is going to, again, be the best defensive player on the field in that playoff game. And it'll be interesting to see if the Giants can get after Cousins enough to disrupt that passing game. Overall, I don't have a great read on this game.
It's crazy.
The records are, look pretty like a gap, but I don't think there's that big a gap between these two teams. I think it's a game that obviously the Vikings should win. They're at home. They've got everything going for them. The Giants kind of stumbled there a little bit towards the end of the season. Seemed like they kind of started to cool off a little, but it's playoffs. It's prime time. The pressure is on Kirk Cousins, and historically that hasn't always been a good thing. I do think the Vikings should win this game. The Giants are an overachieving team that this is, I think, a good matchup for them. But I don't know that it's a close one. I don't think it's a big spread. The Vikings are only 3-point favorites, which is crazy.
Yeah,
against a 9-7 team. So I'm gonna lean Minnesota in a game that I don't know that necessarily puts up a ton of points. I'm gonna take the Vikings 24-21.
Oh, all right. Giants versus Vikings. Coaching, both have done really good jobs. The way the Minnesota finished last year versus this year is they won all the close games this year than they didn't last year. Got to give that to Kevin O'Connell. I think he has this method of teaching versus and understanding his players more than the old school, get picked up, the old school member of the Titans. If you drop this ball, you run a mile, he's more into teaching, right? But I got to give it to Brian Daboll, man. You have Daniel Jones in the playoffs, and Saquon Barkley's played good. Daniel Jones has played good. I mean, this is what coaching, like I said earlier, man, this is what good coaching is. This is why it's so vital to have a good coach, because he's going to coach players up. And, man, Daboll was a good hire. Remember when I was like, yo, the Chargers should hire Daboll, and they passed? Mistake. Big mistake for them.
I don't know if that was the Chargers' choice. I think Daboll was definitely going with the GM.
Okay. That might be fair. Okay. That might be fair. Because then they know each other.
Yeah. There were a number of teams. I believe it was Denver as well. That somebody had asked one of the Denver reporters why they didn't interview him, and the response was they knew Daboll was going somewhere else, so they didn't waste their time.
Yeah. So I gotta give it to Daboll. He's might get coach of the year. I mean, he's up for it. Phenomenal, man. He's coached Daniel Jones up so well, they're gonna re-sign him. Barkley's gonna get re-signed, and then they're gonna work on some. Might get Odell back. You never know. He might come back to New York. So the offense, I gotta go. Listen, I don't know who the Giants receivers are. I do because I follow the game. But for the average person, they're not going to know who the Giants receivers are. But they play good. And then Saquon Barkley is Saquon Barkley. He's a beast. But Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the NFL. And then Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is great. Then you got Thielen. Then you got TJ Hawkinson. Offense, got to go Minnesota. Defense, I got to go to Giants. Minnesota defense sucks. Like, when I mean they're terrible, they're terrible. I think Craig said it earlier. And that having negative points is crazy. Like, there's no way that should happen. And there are 35th. I'm sorry, not 35th. 31st in the NFL. I mean, that's crazy. So I gotta go Giants. Here's the thing with this game: the Giants and Vikings played each other close, and it was a field goal. It was a 61-yard field goal. I think that this game is going to be close. I think because, and it's not because of Kirk Cousins. I think it's because of the point differential and defense. I think the Giants pull off a win. I think the Giants pull off a win, and it's going to be a close game, and it's going to be decided by a field goal, and it's going to be the opposite score. Giants 27, Vikings 24. Craig, Giants versus Vikings, who you got?
Coaching, I'm going to go with Brian DeBall just because the job that this is another, like the last two that I picked. I didn't have the Giants in the playoffs. I think I had them like 6 wins or something like that. So they've overachieved. Not taking anything away from the Vikings. The Vikings, O'Connell has done a great job with the team that he's had. They won 13 games. I mean, you can't take nothing away from that. Had the number 2 seed locked up there. Unfortunately for them, they finished 3, but still in the playoffs. They still win a division. So, but yeah, that plus minus thing, man. Like to have a negative plus minus and in terms of points, and that's like the equivalent of an 8, maybe a 9-win team. Like -6, they won 9 games. The Dolphins are 9-8. They won, and then they're -2. So I mean, it's crazy to have that many wins and to have that plus or minus in terms of points for and points against that way. It's just weird. I mean, it's crazy.
It's crazy, Craig.
But the job that Brian DeBall's done with Daniel Jones has been, I mean, you got to look at it, man, and give him credit. So I didn't think Daniel Jones was going to make it through the whole season. When he ended up making it through the whole season, getting the team to the playoffs. So he didn't have an outstanding year. Granted, he doesn't have a lot of good wide receivers, but I mean, he made it work, and the team in general made it work for him and around him, and they got 9 wins out of it. So offense is not even close. It's Minnesota. I don't even know. Once again, I still cannot remember who the Giants receivers are. I think it's Richie James or something like that.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's Richie James. Yeah,
I think we saw a Galladay sighting who caught his first touchdown pass in Week 18 ever in a Giants.
I think so.
In a Giants. I mean, you pay him all that money, and that's what happened. Okay, so that was weird.
Very weird, because did he kind of like fall out of?
He fell out of favor with the coach.
Right?
I think it was last season with the coach there. Maybe even this season too, or maybe he was just hurt. He's had injuries and he's had falling outs with the head coaches. Man, it's crazy to go from Detroit, where you were the number 1, to this. I don't know, man. I like Saquon. I mean, he's had a comeback year this year. A couple games he's been quiet in, but for the most part, he's had a really good season. But Minnesota, man, I mean, you mentioned Dalvin Cook, you mentioned Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson. I think they need a number 2. I think Adam Thielen, who worked a couple years ago, just hasn't worked this season. Just hasn't really been there with Kirk Cousins for the most part. So I think maybe they'll try to figure something out there in the offseason, maybe. But Thielen is still there. He can still get touchdowns. He can still get up and down the field. He just doesn't get the looks like he used to. But excuse me.
Do you think that's Justin Jefferson, or do you think that's his age?
It might be his age. I don't know what it is, because it wasn't like this a few years ago. I mean, he's had a okay season looking at the stats. He has 70 catches, which I didn't think he had that many catches, and he has 6 touchdowns and 700 yards. I don't even know where that came from, because I don't remember seeing him get 70 catches. But I mean, the last couple of years, he's kind of, ever since that injury a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, he's kind of has been dipping down. Like he hasn't had a 1,000 since 2018. And then the year after that is when he got hurt. He did have 14 touchdowns in 2020 and 10 touchdowns in 2021, but I don't know, man. I don't know. But he is 32 years old though, so maybe that's something. But
that's
I don't know, man.
That's getting up there.
I think maybe Hawkinson coming in also has taken some.
Yeah.
Some looks away from Thielen at times. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, though. I mean, you can spread the ball out and you got another weapon to throw the ball to. So I don't know, man. I think their offense is really good, though. Defensively, it's not even close. The Giants, Minnesota's defense sucks.
That choice is crazy.
I thought they would be a lot better than what they were getting some of these guys, but I mean they're horrible. The Giants defense, it's been, it's been up and down, but I mean for the most part their defense has been way more consistent than the Vikings defense.
Mm-hmm.
As far as this game goes, crazy thing, Minnesota started the season out with a win, and it was a double-digit win. The rest of the season in the middle was all close games, all one-score games, and then they end the season off with a double-digit win. Weird. So 11 of the 13 wins were one-score games. And then the games they lost, they were blown out in. So I don't really see a blowout here. So I think it's going to be a close game. Like you mentioned, the last game was like 3 weeks ago.
It was really really recent. Yep, 61-yarder.
Yeah, if I think, like Corey said, I think if the Giants can get after Kirk Cousins and put pressure on him, like they did in the last game, had 4 sacks on him, and just trying to shut down Dalvin Cook just keep him to him, because it's going to be hard to shut down Justin Jefferson. That's probably not going to happen. So you can go ahead and I know teams going to look at what Green Bay did. You can't do what they do because you don't have a cornerback like they have. So you might as well go ahead and forget that one. Last time he lit them up anyway for 12 catches, 133 yards. So it is what it is. You're gonna have to pick your poison in this one and try to either get after Kirk Cousins, try to rattle him, and try to stop the run as best you can, like they did last game. And if they can get away from this, if they can do that, then I think they have a chance to win this game. But I got to go Minnesota. I'm not a big supporter of Minnesota. I don't really believe in them, but I think they have enough to at least win this game. And there's no reason why they shouldn't. So I'm going Minnesota 27-21.
Craig, they played on Christmas Eve at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was like 3 weeks ago. All right, Mo. Giants versus Vikings. Who you got?
Coaching. I'm gonna go Dayball. Turn around 9-3. They didn't really add anybody to that roster of significance, but he's brought out the best of a couple people. Their rookie, their dude Ojolari, Dexter Lawrence, and Leonard Williams inside are beasts. Both of them two are beasts. Thibodeau has played well, excellent. Their offensive tackles, they're playing a rookie and a first-year pro at the tackle positions. He's in the second year or third year. Thomas from Georgia.
He is.
Is he the second or third year? It's 1 and 2.
He's in his third year.
Second.
Yeah, I think he's in second year. I know Neil is a rookie from Alabama. But they play well with no name receivers. So I give him credit for the energy he's brought in there, the belief in there. Not to take nothing away from Kevin O'Connell at all, but I'll go with Dayball. Offensively, I'll go Vikings. Beyond just Jordan Jefferson, you got Dalvin Cook. Cousins has had a great year. You still got Thielen, Hawkinson. They just got a lot of weapons. They definitely can spread it around. Defensively, I'll take the Giants. Ojolari, like I said, Lawrence, Dexter Lawrence. You got Leonard Williams inside, Thibodeau on the outside DN. Their corners have played well. I love X. Xavier McHenry, I think he's hurt though. I don't know if X is back. So they have a solid defense. I'm This game scares me because Minnesota just does. Minnesota scares you. Like they just scare you how they come out and then they catch fire, then they downplay, then they catch fire. But I just think they're the better team. So I'm gonna go in a close game. I'm gonna go Minnesota 27-20.
Whoa, only one that picked the Giants. Sticking with it.
I wouldn't be surprised if Giants win. Like it wouldn't be a shock to me if Giants won, but I'm not. I just think Vikings have the better team. I think they're gonna win. But it wouldn't shock me at all if Giants win the game.
It's gonna be a phenomenal game. All right. Last game of the night. Cowboys versus Bucks. Coaching. I'm gonna be honest with you, I cannot pick Todd Bowles for this. He's won a division, but they've had a losing record. I don't know what's going on with them. There's stories of Tom Brady changing the game plan. That's not cool. It just doesn't look like how it was last year. I know they lost some pieces. Tom Brady's older, but there's no reason where that team shouldn't be at the level they should be at because their offensive weapons is crazy. I gotta go Mike McCarthy. The Cowboys are 12-5. Once again, I had the Eagles winning the division because I didn't think Dallas was gonna do good this year, and they came out. And Mike McCarthy it was 12-5 for the second year in a row. I mean, you gotta give it to him. I mean that numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. 12-5. I gotta give it to Mike McCarthy. Now here's the thing. He might be coaching for his future, but once again, Jerry Jones doesn't fire coaches. He doesn't. Jason Garrett was there for a minute, man. So we'll see. He might change his tune, but Mike McCarthy has to do something egregious, and then Sean Payton has to agree to come there. You know, that has to be because I don't see him getting fired. But anyway, that's for another topic for another time. Offense, I gotta go Cowboys. Dak, even though his turnovers are alarming, which is it's crazy because he's not really a turnover guy. He usually protects the football, so it's sometimes it's just a little baffling to me that he leads the NFL in interceptions, and he usually takes care of the football. You know, Dak's not an interception guy, so this is very, very interesting. So, but you got Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, but they've also thrown 35 and 41 touchdowns. Dak has thrown 23. But he also missed some games. But still, this isn't Dak we know. I know the Dak we know takes care of the football. That's one of the attributes that I loved about him. So, besides, he needs to clean that up. But, they got Zeke, Tony Pollard. The offensive line is finally healthy. That was a big thing that they were going through in a year. They got CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz. Dallas offense is phenomenal. The defense, I gotta go with the Bucks. Dallas has the potential to, but they haven't reached it. And the Bucks defense is good. That's one of the things that it's like, all right, the offense sucks, but the defense is phenomenal. And listen, that's what Todd Bowles is, a defensive coordinator, and they got a good defense. I can only imagine if, they had teams 21 is a good number, but their offense was trash. I can only imagine if they had a comparable offense. Their defense would probably be a little bit better now, on the field long. But I got to give defense Tampa. This game is going to be interesting. First of all, it's on Monday night. It's probably going to be the most watched game all weekend. It's going to break records. That's what Dallas does. Dallas fans watch it. And then you got Tom Brady. Tom Brady, everybody's going to watch. And it's going to be lovely. It's going to be, I'm not going to say it's going to be the best playoff game, but it's going to be up there. And I don't like how Dallas is going in. Dallas is on the road. And I done picked some upsets this weekend, and I'm riding with the upsets. I'm going Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Dallas Cowboys, and it's going to be 23-17. Bucks. Craig, who you got?
Coach, I gotta go with Mike McCarthy. I can't pick Tampa Bay. I had Tampa Bay before the season started in the Super Bowl. I thought the NFC was down, and I just didn't. I thought Tom Brady would like to go one more time and go out on top. And I thought, the team just looked still like this, almost kind of close to the same team that went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and they have not lived up there. Like some of these other teams, Jacksonville and the Giants, they've exceeded expectations. Seattle, they have not. This team has been horrible, been inconsistent. Outside of the Carolina game, go figure, they looked pedestrian. They looked terrible. They just looked like they don't even want to play football. So I don't know, man. It's just two different teams in this game as far as like what they do, but they're both going in the same direction, which is not where you want to go, heading into the playoffs. But somebody has to win this game, so that's what it is. But I got to go with Mike McCarthy, even though the team is kind of trending downward. His team just basically just the same team they had last year. They're 12-5. They didn't win the division, but outside of Dak turning the ball over, it's pretty much kind of the same. The Bucs have been horrible. Offense, I got to go with Dallas. Yeah, I got to go with Dallas. I think even though, like you said, Dak turning the ball over, and sometimes the running game is not being there, and they don't really have any wide receiver outside of CeeDee Lamb. Really, I got to go with that. They're putting up points. Excuse me. Tampa Bay, outside of that, once again, outside of the Carolina game, really hasn't done anything offensively. They can't score 30 points in a game. They've done it only twice this year. Once was a loss, once was a win, or one was a win. They barely beat the Cardinals. They lost, got destroyed by the 49ers, destroyed by the Bengals, not destroyed, but they got beat by the Bengals, had to have a comeback win against the Saints. So, it's just been, they lost to the Browns. Like, it's just been some tough games that you just cannot figure out how to win, which, you really haven't seen out of Tom Brady for the most part, especially when he has what you would think is a really good defense. I think the Bucs have a solid defense, a really good defense. So it's just surprising that the offense has been the way it is. Dallas, on the other hand, they put up points. I think they're top 5 in points, top 4 in points scored. Offense is really good again. If Dak just figures out how to stop turning the ball over, I think there could be something there. Like they could be able to make a run. I can't put it really past them, but this is what the Cowboys be. The Cowboys be cowboying, man. This is what they do when it comes to they just find a way to lose games. Crazy
cowboy be cowboy. All right.
They just find ways to lose games, man. Games they should win, they find ways to whatever the case may be, especially down the stretch in December and on into January. So, but their offense, man, I would take their offense. Defense is. I think I'm gonna lean Tampa Bay. I don't mind Dallas's defense. They just only have one corner. So if you just, and the Bucs have 2 wide receivers. So I mean,
Yeah.
they just can't cover Evans and Godwin at the same time. So they'll have to figure that out. Ever since I think Donovan Wilson, I think he went down. Like they don't have an answer on that other side. So
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do there. Parsons has to. What do they do? Parsons has to do something. Like someone on that team has to get after Tom Brady. Tom Brady is 45 years old. He's stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive line has had issues. Like there's no reason why you can't put pressure. But then again, they haven't really done it for the last like 6 or 7 weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get a sack. And they just get a couple of hurries, maybe a knockdown or two, but they don't get any sacks. It's horrible. But they do obviously lead the league in turnover or in takeaways. So there's that. But I think the overall talent and overall pieces should lean towards Tampa Bay. I don't know. We'll see how it works out in this game. Dallas, man, like I said earlier, I don't really have any faith in this team. I don't know. They're limping into the playoffs. Tampa Bay is kind of limping into the playoffs as well. It's just who's going to be able to make the right amount of plays at the right amount at the right time and get that possible key turnover or make that stop on 3rd or 4th down or whatever it is. I just don't know if Dak can shake this off right now. I don't know. He's had a turnover in 7 straight games. I think 9 of 10 he's had an interception.
He's not used to this. I'm not used to this Dak.
I don't think Dak is used to this Dak, but I mean he better figure something out. I mean, it's going to be hard to figure something out in less than a week. So, or excuse me, a little over a week. So it's going to be tough. I'm not sure if Dallas can bounce back off of this whole last couple of games. It's not even the Commanders game. It's just like the last like 5 or 6 games in general, how kind of bad they've looked at times. And I think Tampa Bay, I mean, they're at home. It's not an ideal situation for them as far as how they've made it to the playoffs, being 8-9, barely winning the division, limping in and whatever. But I gotta think Tampa Bay gets this game. I think I can't pick the Cowboys, man. I gotta I can't do it. I gotta go. I wouldn't be shocked if the Cowboys win at all, but I gotta go 24-20, man. Tampa Bay.
All right, Mo, Cowboys versus Bucks. Who you got?
Coaching. Yeah, I can't go Bowles either. I'm gonna go McCartney. I mean, at the end of the day, 24 wins in 2 years is still a high feat. I mean, no matter what we feel about the Cowboys, no matter what people say, to win 24 games in 2 years is a great job. So I'm gonna go McCartney. I'm gonna go with offense. I'm gonna go Dallas. Just overall weapons: Dak, Zeke, Pollard, Gallup, Lamb, Brown. I just even T.Y. Hilton. I just think the weapons are better. Defensively, I'm gonna go Tampa. There's too many pieces on there from their defensive days. There's too many pieces on there from their defense. Their defense still has championship pieces on there. I think the majority, if I'm not mistaken, about over 3/4 of that defense was on that championship team.
Yeah,
almost like 3/4, at least 3/4. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. This game is tough to call. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I think this game is going to tell us a lot about how Dallas feels about their coach. Because the fact of the matter is, if they lose, he's fired. He's not going to be back. In my eyes. I just think Dallas is going to pull this out. I think either that pass rush is going to cause a turnover or they're going to force a pick. I'm going to take Dallas. This might sound wild. I'm going to take Dallas in almost a shootout. I'm going to take Dallas 33-30.
All right. Corey, Dallas versus Bucks. Who you got? Cowboys versus Bucks.
For this one, coaching wise, as much as I don't like Mike McCarthy, Todd Bowles has had this team underperforming this year. I know, as we've talked before the last few weeks, that Byron Leftwich was a hot name as a head coaching candidate last year. I haven't heard his name mentioned once this cycle. So I think that the Tampa Bay offensive implosion, whether it's fair or not to Leftwich, is definitely leaving a mark around the league and is going to keep him from getting a job this year. The Cowboys overall record is good. But again, the stumbling into the playoffs and playing some bad football at the absolute worst possible time is concerning. And I think is a chance that McCarthy probably is coaching for his job, because I had said earlier that the Bucs barely made it over 500. I was wrong. They're under 500. You lose to a sub 500 team in the playoffs. I don't care if it's on the road. I don't care who that other team is. Like, when you have legitimate Super Bowl aspirations and a pathway that's set up for you to be able to make it to at least the conference championship game, you can't screw that up. Offensively, I think I'll lean Dallas. I think Dallas has the edge at quarterback. It's close because I think Dallas has the better quarterback. I think the Bucs have. I think the running back situation's probably comparable. I think I might lean Dallas as Tony Pollard. I think is a better all around player right now than Fournette or Vaughn or anyone else or White. Anyone else at Tampa's rotating through there in their revolving door. But the Bucs receivers, obviously, you have to go with, because you have Evans, who is just consistent, 1,000 yards every year, is a beast.
Crazy.
Godwin, Great, Gage, like, the receiving core for Tampa is crazy good. And then offensive line, I know the Bucs have had injuries there and have struggled there a little bit, so I think I might lean Dallas right now, even though they've had their own issues with Tyron Smith getting kind of kicked out of left tackle and having to make adjustments. So a lot of issues right now on both sides of the ball, or both offenses there. But I'm going to lean Dallas. Defensively, I think I'm going to lean Tampa Bay. Look, I think the Cowboys have a better front. Like, Micah Parsons is the best defensive player in this game. He can be a dominant edge rush guy. You've got DeMarcus Lawrence there. The Bucs, brought in Akeem Hicks, who hasn't had quite the impact that I thought he was going to. And I think Tampa's back end is a lot better than Dallas's. Most notably at the corner position, because I think Curse is a solid safety for them. Malik Hooker has been solid for them. I think he still hasn't quite lived up to his draft position as a top 15 pick, but
solid.
I know Trayvon Diggs had the big interceptions totals, but it's still the same issues. He's a bit of a boomer bust corner, so I would take the Tampa secondary. Overall, I think this could be a pretty close game, but not necessarily for great reasons, because you have two teams that kind of limped into the playoffs a little bit. I know it's in Tampa. I know it's Tom Brady, but I gotta lean Dallas. The pressure's on them. This is a game they can't afford to lose. If you want to be a team that's taken seriously, even though the media takes them seriously year after year, you have to win this game. Period. And I think it's it's pressure on Dak Prescott, because you are the quarterback of a big time franchise. You haven't had a ton of playoff success. You're facing a team that is under 500 in the postseason. You have to win this football game. So I'm going to lean Dallas 20-16.
This is gonna be good. All right. I had a playoff simulator. Right? So, great thing is, next week we automatically get Bills and Buffalo. I'm sorry. Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals. Bills and Buffalo. Bengals and Buffalo. In Buffalo. Gonna be interesting. Heck of a rematch. And it's going to be either the Chiefs versus, it doesn't matter who win the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Chargers game. They're going to play the Chiefs. Excellent. Awesome AFC playoff games. All right, so I'm going with the majority. If the Vikings win, they play San Francisco. Another good game. But if the Giants win, Giants play the Eagles. Very interesting game. Right? But we're going to go with the majority because I think all three picked the Vikings. And the Bucks, if they win, they play the Eagles. Ooh. Hope Jalen Hurts is healthy. And then if the Vikings, this is if the Vikings win. If the Vikings win, the Cowboys play the Eagles and the Bucks play the Eagles. But if the Giants win and the Bucks win, Bucks play San Francisco, Giants play the Eagles. Cowboys win, Cowboys at San Francisco. So if the Vikings win, we got another divisional. And this divisional will be if the Cowboys beat the Bucks, it'll be the Cowboys versus the Eagles. And then if the Giants beat the 49ers, I could probably see one blowout, the Vikings and 49ers, but I don't know. Probably. They in San Francisco too. Jeez. I don't know about that one. But it's gonna be some good playoff games. I think next week, because it's only gonna be 4 games.